Hi there. Thanks for tuning in to the Los Angeles Times Envelope's Emmy Contenders chat series. I'm Michael Ordoña. Today we have a 6-time Emmy nominee, 2-time SAG winner, and 2-time Critics' Choice Award winner, all for her memorable work on Mad Men. Now she stars in NBC's Good Girls as the ringleader of some very unprofessional criminals. Christina Hendricks.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I'm going to grill you totally about Good Girls.
Terrified.
We were just talking about how since it went on Netflix, it's really seemed to find its audience.
Yeah.
But just in case some of these people watching don't know Good Girls, as if they wouldn't, I'll sum it up by saying it's about 3 lifelong friends, 2 sisters, played by you, Retta, and Mae Whitman. I want to say Mae Williams. Struggling moms in Detroit, driven by financial need to rob the grocery store your sister works in, and that leads you down a path of crime.
Well done. That really, you summed it up.
Well, that short circuits the question, because I was going to ask you, what would you add to that? What's essential for people to know about the show beyond that, beyond their friendship and that path?
I think one thing we want people to know about the show is that it's a really interesting tone. It's drama, but it's comedy. It's quite quirky and a little bit weird. And we want people to come and find us because I think we have a really interesting, fun audience. And once you see the show, you really get what we're doing. And I just think it's really special and really unique.
I think you're right about that tone being unusual. And a lot of that comes from the friendship vibe, because a lot of kind of wacky things can happen between 3 friends. And then, look, somebody's dead and getting cut up and put in a freezer.
And hey, look, someone's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens all the time with friends.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that we play it very real. So there are these very intense, dramatic moments that are really sort of heart-wrenching and really hard. But these characters are just weirdos, and they're out of their element, and so funny things ensue. And they've known each other their whole life, so they've got this sort of weird banter, hilarious kind of way that they communicate with one another. So
yeah, I like that. Actually, one of my favorite moments in the show so far was when you guys were going to do something that seemed like a really bad idea, and I think your sister said, but that's not something a professional criminal would do. And you say, we're not professional criminals.
Yeah, it's amateurs. I'm like, we are amateurs. Right. Yeah, exactly. They keep trying and thinking they know things, and all of their experiences from things they've seen on TV or things they've heard about, and every once in a while they sort of pull it off in a way that you can't believe that they pulled it off. And then at the same time, there's so many mistakes that they have to go back and fix and cover up, and it's an endless circle of mistakes.
Yeah, just like life, it's all about the mistakes.
Yes.
Right? That actually leads us to our first fan question, and I want to thank the fans who sent in so many good questions.
Yes, thank you.
We only have X amount of time, so I can only ask X amount of questions, but the first one is from Maggie, who tweets, what made you choose to take the role of Beth in Good Girls? Were there specific aspects of the story that really drew you in?
I loved that she was a really modern woman with very modern problems, children, finances, husband, cheating, all these different things, and that it goes into this completely bizarre thing. So for an actress, that's really interesting because you kind of are getting acting challenges every single day because anything could happen to this woman. And I loved the idea of doing comedy mixed with drama. I mean, I think that that's how life is, and I love comedy. So it was getting to spread my wings a little bit and get to work with these 2 amazing women was really a huge, huge, exciting idea for me to come to work and have female relationships that I was dealing with every single day. I was really looking forward to that.
That's a nice change, I think.
It is a nice change for me. For most of the films and TV I've been in have been very female-male confrontation most of the time, and like I go and I get to work with these amazing women.
Yeah, and
the guys are great too, don't get me wrong, but I love those women.
And Mad Men wasn't exactly a laugh riot, but
I thought Mad Men was hilarious, but
well, your touch with the comedy in this doesn't surprise me because I first got to know your work through Firefly.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of humor in that.
There is, yeah.
Again, not played for the laughs, but
no. I mean, to me, that's the funniest thing is when you don't play for the laughs. It's circumstantial. These things are bizarre. They're happening. And the writing and the dialogue is already funny. You don't have to feed into that, you know.
Actually, that reminds me, maybe my single favorite moment in the show is when you're hearing the first version of the story of what Mary Pat did with a body.
Yeah.
And just the look on your face.
Just us on the couch looking at her like, this woman's nuts. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. And Allison Tolman is such a wonderful, wonderful actress. So we get some really great people on the show that we get to work with.
Yeah, but your facial expression.
Thank you.
Again, not playing it for laughs. Not doing something big, but just like.
And trying to justify it, being like, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Everything she's saying is making it worse.
Yeah, yeah.
I should also add that Maggie wanted to make sure that I let her know how much we adore her! Exclamation point hug.
Thank you! Exclamation point hug back.
Okay, to me, the two main threads that jump out in the show are the friendship, the relationship among these three women, and the possibly Breaking Bad-esque path that Beth may be on. So I want to address both of those. We see the three leads together all the time. We see a lot of different aspects of their relationship. I kind of like it when they get pissed at each other.
Yeah, it's fun when they fight.
Yeah. But, I mean, they fight because they fight in a way that looks like friends fighting, not like some contrivance. We have women in the scene, now they have to fight. Instead, it's...
No, it's people who've known each other their whole lives fighting,
Yes.
which is like a loving fighting, but I know you too well fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, all three are like sisters.
Yeah.
So are there moments, maybe key scenes or something that you feel like define that relationship for you when you see those scenes, you go, yeah, that's really what they're like?
I mean, I think one of the funniest scenes that we've had this season was when the three women are sitting in the hotel room waiting to kill Boomer. And they're sitting in the dark, and they're waiting to kill someone, but they're in this disgusting motel room, and they keep fighting over how much they think the room costs for the night. And the way that they're bickering it cracks me up, that scene. I love. I feel like that sort of defines the show a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's what would be on their mind at that moment. Beth is not really like the others, though. She's a natural leader, or at least this is what it seems like to me. She's a natural leader and seems the most likely to break bad of the three. Some evidence for this is her relationship with Rio and how she is very clearly drawn to it and repulsed by it, and drawn to it and repulsed by it. Do you think it's possible that the other two can really stay with her, though, if she changes this much, if she goes down that path?
I think that's the fear. I think that's what this season for Beth is about, is this sort of constantly trying to go back to her normal life and wondering why she's attracted to this other thing and why it sort of excites her, and feeling ugly for it and feeling ashamed, but not being, it's this push and pull, this internal struggle, which was very emotional to play all year because she's on the brink of losing it all the time. And she knows what she should be doing, but she can't help herself, and she's confused by it. And I think she knows that if she pushes it too far, she might be alone.
Yeah, and the most important relationships to lose, of course, being those women and your kids. I mean, Beth has a real come to Jesus moment, I think, when her husband takes the kids. It looks like she's really facing a hard decision there, but as we're saying, she ends up back in it anyway.
Yeah, well, and she's justifying it somehow in her mind. Well, the reason I did this in the first place is to keep a roof over my children's heads and to make sure that they can go to the right schools and have food on their plates. So in her mind, she's like weaseling ways to make it sense, but she knows that it doesn't. So she's ashamed, you know?
See, for that reason, just exactly what you're talking about there, embodying the relationship in her relationship with Rio also, I think really works because it's an apt metaphor. He in many ways represents the push and pull of this whole thing.
Of the whole thing. He's sort of like the figure that represents everything that's happening, And she's never had a relationship like this or a person like this in her life, and she doesn't really know what it is. She's like, uh-oh, we had, now what are we? We had sex, but we were business, and now what are we? Do you like me? Do you not like me? It's very confusing.
Are you my boyfriend?
Yeah, are you my boyfriend now? Yeah. Do you hate me? Do you have other girlfriends? Yeah.
That's something that I often wonder about my girlfriend. So that leads us, of course, to the second clump of questions from fans, because I think the thing most fans are asking about is your relationship with Rio. And so I'll just use a question from one fan named Yasmiho, I think. Yasmiho asks, how do you see the relationship between Rio and Beth, and what are your opinions on those characters being in a romantic relationship?
Well, I think a little bit like what I was saying is I think it's confusing to Beth. I think she doesn't know why she likes it so much. She's surprised why she likes it so much. And it's a little bit strange because they've got this power play going on. Sometimes it feels like he's holding all the cards, and she feels sort of intimidated and scared and weak and powerless, and then she kind of flips it on him. And then, actually, we use that term in the show, don't we?
Yeah.
Flipping her
Flips his game.
Yeah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, she's holding the cards, and she feels kind of powerful and sexy. And so there's this real push-pull. But I think she really, she married her high school sweetheart. So she really is like, am I your girlfriend? She doesn't know where she stands, and confused that she's having these sort of girlish feelings with someone this is a very sophisticated situation. And yet she feels sort of nervous and fluttery around him.
Yeah, although I did like her bare knuckles moment with her husband when she laid out why she likes to see him.
Yeah.
Can you point to some moments in the show that you feel like define your character? I mean, there are a lot of things she said and done that are clearly her choosing to pursue this dangerous path or asserting a position of power. For you, if you've seen the episodes, were there moments when you go, yeah, that's really Beth?
It's funny because I think there's a dichotomy of the things that are really Beth, because I think when you see her with a million cupcakes and cookies out and making perfect sandwiches with faces and getting her kids safely to school, that's very, very Beth.
Sure.
And then there's a moment where she says in season 1, I think it's in the pilot, are we going to sit around and let people dictate what happens to us, or are we going to take control and do it ourselves? And that's very Beth.
Yeah.
And so I think she's a bit of a control freak. And I think that's why she sort of seems like the ringleader, because if she's going to do it, she's going to do it right. I think that's probably throughout her life. So I think that there's a lot of levels of Beth. That's why I'm lucky to play her, because I think that it's ever-changing what defines her.
Yeah, well, there have to be levels to her because of where she starts and just where she's come so far.
And she's on an emotional roller coaster, so she doesn't even know what defines Beth.
There you go.
I think at this moment.
Maybe that's the key.
Maybe that's the key.
She so doesn't know where she's going to go next.
Yeah, she doesn't know where she's going to land. It's a scary place to be.
You mentioned all those cookies and cake and cupcakes, though. I felt really bad when she threw all that stuff out. I mean, she'd taken so much time. It all looked delicious. I wanted her to at least give it away.
When they didn't use it, it just broke my heart when the moms didn't use it. But we shot that for quite a while, and there were all levels of fits of rage that I went through, and there were some takes where I was just sobbing. Because all of a sudden you're just doing this aggressive, emotional thing, and then you get swept up in it, and so there was a lot of cupcake and mess. I was sticky. I had frosting. I had bruises. It was a big day.
Bruised by the cupcakes?
Yeah, well, because I was throwing them in the sink and the garbage disposal and all this stuff, so it got kind of banged up. It was a physical day.
I have a feeling, though, that there are a number of fans out there who watched that scene and also said, but I want those.
We might need the outtakes on that one, just have a Beth smashing cupcakes montage at the very end of the season.
That's going on the DVD or on the,
yeah, exactly.
Wherever you see
exactly.
the special features. Oh yeah, I've already mentioned that. You've been renewed for season 3 already.
We have, yeah.
Yes. If you had your druthers, where would you send Beth? I mean, what path do you think she should go on next if you were the showrunner?
Well, I have long conversations with the showrunner,
Yeah.
and we agree with how I think we want to start season 3. We've had long, very fun talks about it. I don't want to give anything away.
Okay, no.
Because we also don't know how season 2 ends yet.
True.
But this struggle is going to go on for a very long time. I don't see Beth all of a sudden like in a zoot suit with a mustache, like full gangster mode. She's still struggling. For me, that's what a gangster looks like.
I pictured the white suit and the AK-47.
I went straight to like Dick Tracy or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's a longer path, I suppose.
I think so. I think that's the interesting thing about these women is that this isn't a decision you make overnight, and this is a series of events that slowly change your life forever and change who you are. But if you're just a person who can switch overnight, then that's not very interesting to me.
It's got to take a while to get
Yeah.
there, especially if it's that big a change.
And where there is, I'm not sure yet. But
I think what sparked the question for me was when you tried to get rid of Rio, and Rio's response to you is, if you want to be the king, you got to kill the king. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure she's yet ready to stab him.
I don't think she's ready. I mean, she's had that gun in her hand a bunch of times, and she hasn't been able to pull that trigger. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, he is pretty cute. So.
And he's cute.
And the fans go, no, don't kill him. I like this question a lot from Laura. Laura wonders, if you could give Beth any advice, what would it be?
Don't do it.
That's your
Don't do any of this. This is crazy.
Well, what is she going to do?
Don't rob a grocery store, Beth. Bless your heart. There are other options out there. That would be my first bit of advice.
You mean you wouldn't give her advice like, make sure you file off the serial number?
No, Christina would say, don't do it, Beth.
Well, Laura also asks what you like most about playing Beth.
I mean, I love her strength and her loyalty. I think there's something very interesting about that. Obviously, with her sister and her best friend, but even the loyalty to her husband, obviously the children. But there's something very loyal about her, and I think that's something interesting, that even as she's breaking down and doing things that are not good for her and not good for the people around her, it is coming from this place of sort of love and strength, I think.
Yeah, that loyalty, I think, is a big difference between you and Heisenberg, in that
That's a good point.
he owns up in the end of the series, yeah, I really did it for me.
Right.
But I don't think she's doing this for, I mean, part of it is her breaking out of the chain she's been in.
Yeah, I think she's toying with that. She's liking it a little bit, but I don't think that that's the impetus behind it.
That doesn't feel like the prime mover
Yeah.
for her. Several readers ask about your favorite scene to shoot, or your favorite Beth scene, or your toughest to shoot. So let's turn that into what do you think has been your most memorable scene to shoot?
Whew. There's some you haven't seen yet. Woo, they were hard. This is a hard show. I mean, it is really emotionally hard. I mean, but I mean, I'm always going to love that first grocery store, robbery. Just the energy of it, and so funny. I think it really drew people into the show. But I don't know, there's so many great moments with the three women in cars fighting over things and stuff. But there's some coming up at the end of this season that were pretty major. And also, to me, the scene at the end of season 1, holding the gun on my husband and Rio, where we pick up in season 2 in that exact moment. That was a really intense scene, and pretty hard to shoot emotionally and physically, and the stamina of having to do that over and over and over and over. And those guys were so great. So that was a big one for me.
Did you actually cut where we see it cut and then have to pick up?
I did. I had to do it twice.
Oh.
I was like, you guys,
Yeah.
it was exhausting enough the first time round. They're like, so we tried to match it as perfectly as possible. There's a little bit of a makeup and hair change, but you know.
See, I would have expected that scene to be complete, and you just shoot the whole thing at the end of season
Yeah,
one.
but they didn't know if we were picked up or where, you know, they hadn't started writing season 2. So yeah, imagine my surprise when I opened that script and I'm like, again? I've got to do that again.
Yes.
Yeah, it was intense.
I hope he's got to get shot. Okay, Alex Velasquez tweets, "I loved you in Company.
Oh, thanks for watching it.
Would you consider doing another musical on screen, and if so, which?"
Yes, I absolutely would. I am such a huge musical fan, and I had such a blast doing Company. Just dance. I love dancing. I grew up as a dancer. I would do probably anything on screen if they wanted. I don't care what it is. But I go back and I watch like Chicago, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't around. I don't even think I was an actor then. But you know, I love those beautiful.
Chicago's the one that I would have thought of for you.
Thank you. See, that's the one. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart that I'm not in that film.
Well, you know, they keep doing
Remakes.
televised reboots.
I know,
right?
but it was perfect. They don't need to redo it. It's perfect.
She says it's perfect, even without her in it.
But I'd still do it.
All right, I warned you about this one. Caitlin Blankenship, a fan, first implores you to join social media.
Oh.
And threatens anyone who would bother you on social media with mob justice, that all of your
Well,
fans
I like that. I mean, that is encouraging, actually. Know that she's got my back.
So we did talk about this a little bit before the interview began, but could you explain to the fans why it is that you're not on social media?
I wish I had a more distinct answer, but I think I'm a very emotional person, and I really do sort of get my feelings hurt and stuff when people say negative things, and I just feel like there's so much negativity out there, and I know that there's so many good things about things like Instagram too, and I'll sometimes see it via someone else, be like, oh, who's went on vacation? Where, you know, like I like hearing what people are up to, but I think I'm just quite sensitive to it, and I think that people can hide behind being anonymous online, and I just sort of keep my privacy a little bit in that way and shield myself. But she knows. She says she's got my back. So,
So good job, Caitlin. Caitlin also asks, what is your favorite thing about your career? So let's make that, since you've been a very successful actor, what maybe, what's the best thing about that you can think of right now?
not my favorite project, but about being an actress.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to be creative every day, which is the whole point. And I get to work on great projects, which you can't always say. Sometimes you just get stuck in something that you don't love, and I've been so lucky to love what I do. So I guess that would be the answer, is that I feel creatively satisfied on a daily basis.
Well, you've certainly racked up some really nice projects, so
Thank you.
not everyone can say that.
Not everyone, I feel very lucky, yeah.
There are lots of other things to ask you, especially from fans, but we're just about out of time, so
Okay.
I'm going to take you down to the lightning round.
Okay,
The lightning round,
this makes me nervous.
it's not really about speed. These are just
What if I
questions
get them
we ask you.
wrong?
Then there's a trap door. Don't worry, the microphone will save you. Okay, so what's the last show you binge watched?
Oh my gosh, I binge watched so much of them. You?
I don't know that show.
You're like blank stare.
Yeah,
It's called
just
You.
like- yeah, I mean, I think I've heard vaguely of it, but I didn't know
I
it.
watched
So
that last week.
I hope I just hoped at that moment she wasn't saying I binge watched you.
I'm super creepy.
Yeah, there's like a camera in my house.
But that's probably not even the last one. That one came to mind. I watched so many.
What classic TV show do you wish you were in, or would you like to have been a part of?
I wish I was a part of 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
Why?
I thought the writing was genius. The acting was spectacular. I thought it was perfect in every way. I just thought it was amazing.
So did that feeling carry over to Ball's adaptation of True Blood, or was it just 6 Feet Under for you?
Next question.
Okay. Worst job you ever had?
Worst job I ever had. I mean, my jobs have all been kind of fun. I worked at a tuxedo store, like a tuxedo rental store, but it was fun. I don't know. I've had pretty fun jobs.
Well,
You mean like an acting job or like a
peop-
job?
Yeah, some people give the worst acting job, but the worst regular job is fun.
I mean, I just job.
Job.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd rather be an actress than working at the tuxedo place. This is more fun. But I had fun there too.
Doesn't sound terrible.
It wasn't terrible. I had friends there. It was
And
fun.
you're surrounded by penguins all day. All right, so finally, who is going to win the Game of Thrones?
Do I have to watch that show to know what it means?
If you
Now
have
I'm
no
going to get
idea,
in trouble. All the Game of Thrones people
all
in the
gonna
world
come
are
after
like,
you.
cross Hendricks off the list.
this is why you're not on social media.
Trapped me in that one.
That's fine if you don't know Game of
Trapped me.
Thrones. You could just say Captain America will win Game of Thrones or something.
You said it. You heard it here.
Don Draper will win the Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
there we go. Don Draper always wins.
You've answered all the questions we have time to ask you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank
by.
you. That was
It's a
fun.
pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
To see this entire interview or any other of our Emmy Contenders chats, go to latimes.com.